Yo, we got a lot to talk about today. I mean, a lot, baby. A lot to talk about. It's so much to talk about. Let's just dive right in. Let's just dive right on in. So apparently, everybody been talking about this interview that Maurice did with Carlos King. I had seen people posting about it, but because I had felt like I had talked about it on the show, I mean, I just feel like there was no explaining to me or rationalizing to me how Maurice felt about Kimmi being intimate with him while she's literally fighting for her life and doing it well, showing up to film, still showing up as a wife, and still just making it through and pushing through. And for him to be demanding the relations, I just felt like was horrible. I really did. And I felt like, as much as I feel like Maurice is an affable character on the show, I do feel like that's incredibly selfish. And I feel like it kind of goes back to the sort of man child that I feel like sometimes he portrays on the show. And I say portray because I don't know what these people are like in real life. So I just try to go off of what I see. And so this interview, I had seen it making the rounds. I ain't really have anything else to add to it other than what I had already said. But I mean, when you see the headline and you read, okay, that Maurice Scott opens up about making his wife have relations even though she's battling cancer, and then his rationale is, I'm a person who just needs relations. Life throws us curveballs, and what Kimmi is doing is admirable, right? Admirable to whom? Because when the phrase um that she just rolls over and suffers through it all for me, I don't know that he realizes that it sounds the way that that sounds. Okay? It's very much given Massa coming into the quarters in the middle of the night and doing his business. Okay? Um if you've seen The Color Purple, you know what I'm talking about. All right? That's what it's given. May not have been his intent, but he definitely did not do a good job of explaining whatever his rationale was supposed to be. And I don't like it, not one bit. I feel like she is going through enough, and he needs to have the sensitivity enough to go into the bathroom and use the 5 finger discount method that gets most people through while she's going through this. Okay. And if you understand what I'm saying with the 5 fingers, then you know what I'm talking about, right? Now, let's add to that, because Dennis McKinley, Portia Williams' ex, okay, her baby daddy, want to fight Maurice, okay? Now I'm all here for something new and exciting, baby, something new and exciting. And I feel like a lot of people probably want to fight Maurice after hearing him say that. Dennis tweeted or posted this and said, I'm fighting Maurice in October if he has 20K. His interview with Carlos King was disgusting. And so Dennis even post the screenshots, or I think Maurice, I think it was Dennis Dennis posted the screenshots and said, let's box for charity, #cancer. 20K put up on both sides. I'll get sponsors to match 100K for charity. And so then the response appears to be, let's discuss the full details. Um, Listen, the people in the comments are going ham on Maurice. Okay. When I say ham, I mean ham. As well, they should, because of what it sounds like. Master come into the room and do his business. Now I understand that if Kimmi is willing in this situation to please her man, and because I just there's so much that there was so much to unpack in that episode, and the fact that he was upset that she was faking it when she told him that sometimes she had to fake it to get through it, baby, his reaction was like, "Oh, what, you faking it? What?" And I'm like, "Bro, like, dang, is she not going through enough, man? Like, I ain't like it. Dennis ain't like it. So now they about to fight. Okay. I hope, is it taking place on Zeus? I don't know. Do I gotta get another subscription to do so? Maybe we can make it happen on own. I don't know. Carlos King, somebody make it happen, capping. Cause this I don't like it, Maurice. I don't like it for you. I don't like it for you. I don't like it for Kimmi. I don't like that you said it. Okay. Now that I've beat that horse, let's talk about another horse. Okay. Not really a horse, but an eviction. Baby, Peter Thomas down to the bar one. And I'm mad because I personally have heard great things about bar one. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. When I used to live in Miami, I used to hear great things. I never made it there. I had been invited to an event. I don't think it was hosted by him, but I think it was like it was some type of influencer thing. Maybe I cannot remember what it was, but I could not make it. And then I was supposed to go another time for dinner, but ended up not being able to make it that time either. So I missed out. So the headline reads: Peter Thomas Miami restaurant bar one is being sued for eviction. Landlord says he owes $422,000 in rent and wants him out. Baby, that restaurant business, it feel like it be taking the people out. Okay, it will take you out of here. You know what I'm saying? All right. So this is for the location in Miami, as I stated, according to Radar Online. Um, Bar One Miami received a legal letter suit from Bentley Bay Retail LLC. Now, that's probably the retail conglomerate that owns the space that Bar One occupies. I'm surmising. And then it says in the suit, the company claims that they are Peter's landlord. So we are correct in that. And said that they entered into a commercial lease agreement with him back in 2018. Now, the company has sued Peter in the past for unpaid debts, but he managed to buy a little time by promising to pay his debts, which totaled around 270,000. Now, I'm reading to you guys from the Neighborhood Talk, one of our favorite sites. Now, according to the agreement, the company made it clear that if any checks were returned, Bar One Miami would have to close them doors for good. Well, they claim Peter submitted 4 payments that ended up bouncing back. Okay, so that means that the payments bounced. All right. July 2022, August 2022, September 2022, October 2022, and March 2023. All those checks allegedly bounced. Okay. When I think back in September of 2022, so much was going on. Kim stopped paying her bills allegedly back then. Kim and Core, I mean, did something snap in? Did Thanos snap in 20? I don't know what happened. Anyway, so Bentley Bay Retail said Peter now owes them $422,000 in rent, outstanding costs, utility charges, and sales taxes. They said that he was notified in October 2022 that he was in default, and this new lawsuit was filed the same month. However, the company said the case was delayed after Peter began negotiation talks. At the end of the article, they said they want him out the building, y'all. Okay. For me, this is not something that I celebrate. I always feel like I want to see our people, win in these instances. And I will tell you that Bar One is a place that seems like it was always popping. Like it's always seemingly like, like it's popping with the celebs and the folks and stuff like that. So I would reasonably assume from what I gleaned with my own two eyes and ears from when I was there, but that was back in what, I haven't lived there since 2020. So I'm like, yeah, I don't know what's been happening since then. But maybe the panorama slowed things down a bit. I'm not necessarily sure. But Peter, let's get it together, sir. Let's get it together. Let's pay these people off. I'm sure you got the coin somewhere, and let's get this thing settled. Because Bar One, I'm gonna tell you the truth, it is kind of like a little bit of a little staple in Miami. You know what I'm saying? When I say little, I don't mean like little like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not diminishing it, but what I am saying is, I'm just shocked. I'm a little shocked, kind of not shocked, but a little shocked. What y'all think? Are y'all shocked? Let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. I do recall when they were on the Real Housewives of Atlanta that there were, some, I don't know. It just seemed like there was some business wasn't really doing that well in that space. And so it kind of makes you wonder, like, maybe, what, Peter? Maybe call up Dennis. Because Dennis McKinley seemed like he got that game down on lock or something like that. I don't know. Y'all let me know in the comments what y'all think. Because we got to talk about this interview with Kandi and Tamika Scott, baby. Now, the interview was an hour. And it came on in lieu of us not having a new episode of the Real Housewives of the Atlanta. And so, obviously they talked about, Tamika's cookbook, her seasonings, which I do want to mention here, her single Tonight with Method Man. And, they were able to eat some good food and have some really intense conversations about a lot of the things that they had experienced in the group. Now, we talked a little bit the other day about some of that, how Tamika felt like an outcast when Kandi wasn't in the group. Tiny and Latocha was going out to eat and doing things without her. And, we talk a little bit about how she was hopeful that, when she got onto the show, when they were doing the show, that she and her sister could have a conversation and sort things out after their whole Vegas debacle, in which, Tamika had ended up going off on Latasha's assistant, who I guess had maybe partially managed them. Let me put the alleged badge up because I want to make sure that I get that correct. I got my notes right here, so don't worry. We will fill you all in on the tea. But, along with that, she wanted to really reconcile things with her sister before they started filming the show. And they actually wanted them to film that scene in a church. Now, she didn't think that the conversation was going to go the way that it did. That's why she ended up bringing her daughter, Ocean. Now, she does say, Ocean is in her 20s, so she's not like a child that she was bringing into the situation. But Ocean is very laid back, and so she didn't really even want to be a part of the drama and even left the scene when the scene was really going down. Okay. Now, Tamika describes the scene as shock because she came in with the hope to resolve, but she felt like her mom and her sister, they were putting their fingers in her face. She had even complimented, Latasha, because Latasha was dressed up in heels, and that's not something she normally does until she got on this show. But I mean, who wouldn't dress up now that you're getting onto a show? So anyway, she goes on to say that she really had no intentions of ever mentioning that $30,000, but because her mom and her sister were going in on her so hard, Tamika says that she felt like she had no choice, like she was drowning in that situation. They had even gotten in her face to the point where she had to walk around the couch. This is what she says that we did not see. So she says that at the last moment, she felt like, when her mom said, "I do have your back," she had to let her know. She was like, "I need to shut them up. You did not have my back when this $30,000 thing came up." Okay. And that's when things blew up. She says, Mona production, nobody had any clue that this thing was about to come up. And she said it came up in the spur of the moment. So people who were asking, well, how could you do that to your sister? How could you, exploit your sister like that or whatever like that on national TV? She says she feels like I am at a point in my life where I'm not going to continue to protect people that are no longer protecting me. And she says that she has been protecting her sister for a very long time. She's seen how Kandi has felt on the outside, but because of the business and her sister, and she wanted to have her sister's back because she also wanted that approval from her family, she felt like she needed to always have her sister's back, even if it meant, taking an L herself, which she says that Latocha allegedly later used against her in interviews where she called out Tamika as a liar and tried to make it seem like Tamika was crazy because she says, well, you know how she does. You know what she said about Kandi. Now she's doing these things to me. When Tamika says that she did those things because Latocha called her crying about, I guess something that Kandi had done. I don't know, because Kandi, according to the people that don't really fool with her like that, Kandi is to blame for for global warming. You know what I'm saying? It's all Candy's fault. Kandi is doing. I mean, Candy's making things. Lord, she's making the earth spin backwards. So anyway, um, one of the other things that I felt like they, I want to kind of hit the highlights because there's a lot to cover, but you know, um, she did touch on the fact that they were both supposed to have the album. And some of these things we've touched on a little bit before. They were supposed to both do the gospel album, but allegedly, according to Tamika, Latocha told her that because Tamika wanted to write and she found out that Latocha was already writing for it. So when she wanted to, split everything evenly because, the money is made in the writing, allegedly, Latocha told Tamika, no, I'm the singer, I'm the entertainer, I'm the writer. You're the actor. You stay over there and do that. But Tamika wanted to split everything down the middle. And so after that, she didn't hear anything else about it. It wasn't until they saw the show, or at least sometimes thereabout after filming, that they found out that she had gotten the gospel deal. There was never a scene where Latocha ended up telling them that she got the gospel solo deal on her own. They had to find out through some other means, which I thought was very interesting as well. We talked about how it was stated that allegedly Latocha had told Tiny that she was going to turn up on this season. And even when they got into it at Tiny's house, that they cut out Latocha going in about the issue being Kandi versus her tackling her issues with her sister, which I thought was interesting. Now, when they talk about whether or not things can be fixed, it sounds like things won't be able to be fixed for quite some time. Number one, because they don't want Rocky, okay, in their business. They don't want him anywhere near the biznai. All right. Now, let's get into a couple of things about what happened when Kandi wasn't there. Now, when Kandi wasn't in the group and it was just Escape 3, which is interesting because as you guys can see here, there are times when they use the names interchangeably, right? They will use Escape or they might have used Escape 3. And there's a couple of instances where this is the case. Because Latasha's claim later would be that, oh, we think y'all should now use Escape 3 because I'm not in it. But as you guys can see, it's kind of been inconsistent with how they have used that name, right? So that came up, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that trademark and how that worked in just a second, because I thought that was interesting too. And I got a tip for y'all on trademarking. Now, apparently, Latocha had allegedly said that when Kandi wasn't around, Rocky was managing their affairs as a group. Tamika says he wasn't managing their affairs. The deal was that whomever brought a deal to the table, they would get a percentage. So there were multiple people that were trying to bring deals to the table for tours or for shows. But when two of the other people would bring tours and shows to the group, like a 7-show deal, Latocha would turn them down because Rocky would say, "Ain't nobody eating off his wife." So allegedly, it would seem as though it was only when he brought the deals that it would be acceptable for her to perform with the group. So Tiny and Tamika ended up feeling like that wasn't fair, and that's when things started to get crazy. So the question was he double dipping? Well, it only seemed to work when he was bringing stuff to the table, and allegedly allegedly, all right. If Tina, I'm not sure who Tina is. Is that Tiny's mom? Tina is mentioned a lot, right? So if Tina brought stuff to the table, Rocky allegedly thought that he deserved a commission off of what Tina was bringing to the table, or he would not allegedly let Tasha perform. Let her perform. Like, this is why I feel like you need to have, I don't know. It just sounds like bad business all around. It really, really does. Kandi prefers to keep things clean, and now as a group, when somebody brings them deals, because they will all get calls individually about deals, they hand them off to their manager. That's the way things are usually done in a management relationship or management contract, so that the manager gets the commission. Um, Apparently, we talked a little bit about this, but it was covered more, that it was Rocky and Latasha's idea to bring Kandi back into the group, because allegedly that's when they found out that from the text messages from the promoter, which we did see on the show, that Kandi was brought back in as a way for them to get more money to tour together as all of Escape. However, the group ended up making less money because allegedly the kickback was going to Rocky. All right. So, in no way, shape, or form did any of them agree to any side deals. And the text made it seem like Latasha allegedly was going to get them to do whatever she wanted them to do. Now, apparently, it was a lot deeper than that, because there was some threats made allegedly from Rocky to the promoter, and then allegedly the promoter made some threats back. And apparently it could have gotten deeper because there was somebody else involved. I'm surmising about who that could be, but I don't want to say, because I don't want to add no more fuel to that fire, but I have a clue who I think it was. And Tamika says that things could have really went left. And so she talked a little bit about the tape or whatever that she had made, and then asked Latasha to keep. I don't know why you would ask anybody to keep the tape. I mean, at that point in time, just destroy it, because it ain't no good gonna come of it, because it was with an ex, not her husband. And so the tape was allegedly stolen, but nobody had the combination. Apparently they were getting threatening messages, and apparently bloggers and media outlets were DMing Latasha, saying that, Rocky is saying that if she doesn't take back that $30,000 incident that she talked about, then this stuff would be released. Okay. So allegedly they were saying that it was coming from Rocky. Now, um Tamika ended up having to tell her family about this. And then they talk about, I told you what they were going to do about the name. Now, here's the thing with the name, and I think this was very, very interesting. So, according to Tamika, Latasha approached her about trademarking the name, but she didn't have the money to trademark the name by herself. And so that is the reason why Tamika allegedly feels like Latasha even involved her, was just because she didn't have the money to do it on her own. Now, I will tell you, to get an attorney to help you trademark a name and you should definitely get an attorney to help you. Okay. It can cost you anywhere between, I would say, 1,200 to 2,000, maybe less, just depending on how many categories you're applying for, The name had been in use for so long, it should have been a very easy process. My advice, and this is again entertainment purposes only. I'm not a legal advisor. Just from my own experiences, if you have a name that you're intending to trademark, make sure you put the put the name, the logo, or whatever it is on the item that you are already planning to use it on, and then submit your trademark for it, because that will make the process a little bit easier. But again, this is all for entertainment purposes, and I'm not an attorney. But if you would like a trademark attorney, I can recommend a great one to you. Okay. Um, so apparently the paperwork, because Latasha allegedly told Tamika that, well, Tiny and Kandi tried to trademark it, but the paperwork fell through. I don't know how the paperwork, well, I do know how it could fall through because there's a lot that goes into it. But so at that point, Tamika ended up paying for the trademark for the two of them, for her and Latasha. Later on, it was supposed to be that Kandi and Tiny would be added to it, and Tamika signed off on that, but Latasha never did. And so then when it came back up again, allegedly Latasha only wanted Tiny to be on the name and not Kandi. So that's what Tamika alleges as well. So it sounds like Latasha was trying to keep, allegedly, again I say, Kandi from being able to also own the name Escape, when really Tamika feels like it should be all of them who own it. And I do agree with that. I do agree with that. And it's interesting to me because, I'm surprised. Well, I don't even want to say speak that into existence, because it's shocking to me that nobody had done that before. Um, the biggest thing that is probably preventing them all from getting back together is the fact that Tamika has gotten a TPO order on, I guess, Latasha and Rocky. So Tamika is like, I did a TPO against my sister and her husband. And when I Googled TPO, of course, I had to, just want to make sure I'm understanding it correctly. It's like a temporary protective order. And it's a protective order that restrains the accused person, also known as the respondent, from harassing, stalking, or threatening the physical safety of the petitioner, because she was getting text messages and she felt like things that Rocky was saying online were threatening. So the judge granted the order because, she had enough information to back up and justify what she was asking for. And because allegedly, Rocky has threatened to pull out a pow pow on people before. Now, Tamika's husband has been also on the receiving end of messages asking, well, why are you letting this man, treat your treat your wife this way? And what kind of man is that? And you supposed to be in security and all of this stuff like that. And Tamika said the protective order is to protect all parties, right? So it is to protect, anything from happening to her, and for her husband having to do anything to respond to what could potentially happen to her. All right. So no, right now she can't even be around, it sounds like, either one of them. And so that would make Escape as a foursome getting back together very, very difficult at this time. Because as you know, Latasha and Rocky seem to work together as a team. Wow. This is so crazy to me. It's like it's just so deep because I the stuff is still going on. They all, as a group, have still not spoken to Latasha. She has changed her number, which I think we had heard before. Um, and Tamika was a bit angry at Mona Scott. Well, I don't want to say angry, but she did, talk to Mona Scott about, hey, like, you didn't showcase any of my businesses, like my seasonings, my cookbook, or anything like that on the show. And Mona's response to her was, well, we had so many people that we had to film. We've got like 7 women we've got to focus on. So it was very difficult, and there was so much drama happening. So y'all know what? I'm actually going to go back and watch the series because it was actually really good. I'm actually going to go back and watch Escape Still Kicking It, and then I'm going to watch the SWV and Escape show because I really want to get back into and dive into this. This story is so deep. I really want them to do a movie about Escape. Hopefully, Kandi and Tamika and Tiny and Latasha can on some level get to a place where they do a documentary or some type. A documentary may be better because That way, at least they can probably all speak from their own experiences about how things have panned out with the group, and then they can all get paid for it. You know what I'm saying? At least. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chatterization down below. I may end up breaking up this video because it is very long, and then I may end up putting clips on my unfiltered channel just so you guys can watch shorter clips if you like that. But I just thought I would give you guys all of this tea in this video because it was juicy. With that being said, listen, guys, if you haven't purchased my book, please make sure to go out and do so. I have just finalized the cover for book number 2. I will be sharing it with everyone very, very soon. As soon as I get like a couple of tweaks made to it. But with that being said, I will catch you all in the next video.
So, Desiree Davenport, what are you hoping to accomplish with this show?
Honestly, I've lost everything in the most horrible way possible. And listen, I want it all back. I'm willing to build it piece by piece, and I mean brick by brick.
Oh, honey, she is done. I bet you a Burke and she doesn't last all season with us. Just watch.
I'm Misha Hill, and I'd like to consider myself the matriarch of this dynamic group of ladies. I mean, someone has to keep them under control.
I'm Davita Delaney.
I mean, I think I could teach these ladies a thing or two about how to get and keep a good man.
They said she was a gold digger. She ain't hear that from me. I'm just really looking forward to being surrounded by other empowering bosses.
Yes, I know exactly what she's doing. And if she keep playing in my face, I'm gonna have to let her all her dirty little secrets just like she did to me. And I'm not playing.
Let's get this straight. If I brought you into this circle, I just as easily can take you out. She ain't running nothing over here, okay? She needs to be worried about running that household and worried about why that husband of hers is never at home.
Oh, hell.
Ooh, child, this is about to be a mess.
Oh my God, I hate mess. What in the world did I get myself into?